Hey guys, this is your host Gooby, and welcome to the Toon Balloon podcast, our outlet to discuss, theorize, and enjoy our favorite webtoons, with the occasional anime and manga sprinkled in between. So, do I have a treat for all of you? This episode is going to be really fun. I am going to have my husband Lorenzo join me today to help me list out some of my favorite, funniest scenes from the hilarious webtoon series, Cursed Princess Club. Both of us have just been introduced to the series after it had ended with its third season finale. I had ended up reading it after I noticed that so many other readers were going absolutely insane over the finale, and for good reason. I, of course, looked into it and fell in love with its humor. This comic is too funny. I cannot explain how many times I have legitimately laughed out loud. My husband has never read any webtoons before, but this was one of those stories that I knew he would love and just had to read. Since season 3 has recently ended, and we are patiently waiting for the release of season 4, I decided I wanted to devote an episode to the funniest scenes that we love the most. Towards the end of the podcast, we will be giving out thoughts on some theories that have been circulating around, our favorite ships, and more. Also, there will be spoilers, so you have been warned. Now, let's talk the scenes from Cursed Princess Club by LambCat. Okay, so I would like to introduce my wonderful husband, Lorenzo, who is my very first guest on the podcast. Thank you for joining me today. And no matter how many times I asked you, you reluctantly agreed to coming on. How does it feel to be a guest on the show?
Terrifying. I feel like it's worse than public speaking.
Is it now? Well, I mean, you're not in front of a bunch of people. As I find that a bit of a plus on being on the podcast. I think when I had to do that little bit at the church, because one time I had to go and talk in front of the whole church congregation as like the children's chat host, and I was sweating so bad. And I don't know if my boss knows I do a podcast, because she just randomly asked me one day to do it. And I'm like thinking, does she know I do that? Because it's not the same thing talking in front of a bunch of people.
Well, at least in person, you can see when they're laughing at you.
Yeah. And that, that trick where they say to think of everyone in their underwear, that don't work. It's uncomfortable.
What if they're not clean?
What if they're not clean? Okay, I am just gonna clarify that he is really nervous, so I might do all the talking, but hopefully he'll chat in and give his little bit of opinion. Okay, so the plan is that each of us will deliver one of our favorite scenes from the series, specifically funny ones, jokes, one-liners, gags, or anything that we really liked. And after we are done with that hefty list of scenes, we will discuss some theories and other questions. So how does that sound to you? Okay, we are going to start. I'll go first. Okay, so one of my favorite scenes that I can remember the most is from episode 1. And you know how the king is doing his rounds with the girls. So he's saying good morning to each and every one of them. And of course, Jaime, he's nude. And I thought it was kind of odd that the king was just oh, so you're sleeping in the nude again, like usual, son. And I thought, okay, that's pretty funny. But my favorite scene from that chapter is when he lovingly pulls the possum off of Gwen's head. And that made me laugh. And I think that's what hooked me to the series. So that's one of my favorites from the Cursed Princess Club. And I just remember that's what hooked me. So do you have one that you want to share? Or do you think I should do another one? Well, do you have a favorite scene from the very first episode? No. Well, what exactly was it that got you hooked when you first read the series, that you thought, okay, I like this?
You forced me to read it.
That's why? It wasn't like a moment that made you laugh. What was the first scene that made you laugh? Do you think you can remember?
No.
Okay, that's fair. You know, I'm going to give one more because it's pretty early on in the series when I came up to it. I think it's both in episode 5. Because in episode 5, we kind of get the intro to Prince Jaime and his skills. And you know his skills is basically he eats something and he can basically detail the background of the person who made it. You know, the little background of that he gave for the first food he ate. I think it was like some sort of meal that a chef gave him. And so it was from episode 5, pie tasting. And he basically describes it as he can still taste the affair with the sous chef's wife. And that was so funny to me because I think in that same episode later, it's with that witch. You know, he's eating those pies from Gwen, and that witch comes over and she wants to poison him with that apple. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, sister." And she's like, "My bad, I didn't want to steal your thunder." And she just like kind of hides in the bushes.
But she left the apple.
She left the apple. I guess she figured she could use it. Oh, but poor Gwen. I think that was like her first instance of someone like, you know, pointing out that she might be ugly. But, I mean, she's pretty on the inside. And I mean, you grow to love her. But because at that point, she didn't see, like, Frederick didn't say anything to her just yet, right?
No, not yet.
I don't think so. Because she was making pies for the princes, and that's why Prince Jaime was trying them out. He was tasting them.
Yeah.
So, the episode was so funny. Just them about to meet the princes was really funny because they're all just scattering around in the castle, and they're freaking out. Okay, so this one I remember I was telling you earlier when you were passed out on the couch, and it's from episode 8, The Wake, Part 1, and it's about that inappropriate old man. And when he waltzes in, and he's just here like good googly moogly, he was like saying his daughters were like hot and whatnot, and of course the king is like, "Get away from them." Which, I mean, it was really inappropriate. I was like, ew.
They're underage, old man.
Yeah. One of the few times that you're happy that the king is overprotective, I think. It's warranted. Oh, and in that same episode, Jaime wakes up to the waffles.
Yes.
Do you remember? Oh, I wanted to ask you something about that. Can you guess, like right now, from your memory, what was the recipe to Prince Jaime's favorite waffle? Because I have it. And you know what? I wanted to bring this up to you. I mentioned it earlier. And it's because I saw that there's an actual YouTube video on how to make Prince Jaime's waffles.
So was it a stack of waffles? You cut the hole in the middle.
Okay, yeah. Wait.
Fill it with a bunch of candy and stuff.
Yeah.
Butterscotch sauce.
Mm-hmm.
And then the marshmallow bunnies.
The marshmallow bunnies. Do you remember how many he wants on it?
4.
4. Good job. And he likes some. Don't forget, he likes the waffles stacked with like that strawberry and whipped cream in between. You were really close though. I was like, man, he's like getting it word for word. Do you think you could eat that?
No.
No, I don't know. The poor thing's gonna be diabetic.
Be like the last meal.
This last meal.
Not by choice.
Not by choice. Oh, I'm glad you. But I saw the YouTube video. I'm like, dang, someone actually made this thing in real life, and I don't even think I could eat it because I like sweets too. But
yeah, I don't. Like that.
Jamie's on a whole other level from what. Your dad likes sweets. Do you think he could do that?
Don't think he can.
No, he couldn't.
I won't let him.
You won't let him. Okay. If it wasn't for the butterscotch sauce, because I feel like that might be a little overkill.
Yeah, I've choked on butterscotch before. It's terrible.
You have? How?
It was the hard candy.
It was a hard candy. You know, when I was a little kid, I told you, right, that my grandparents used to have like this candy jar in their room, and we would sneak in there every time to get some candy. But all it was butterscotch and those strawberry candies, the hard ones. That's all we could find. But I mean, if I get a butterscotch, it reminds me of my grandparents. So.
It reminds me of choking.
It reminds you of Choki. Oh. So I have another one, and I guess we're kind of going in chronological order because I seem to have a bunch right in the very beginning of the series. And this one's from episode 9, from The Wake Part 2. And this is whenever the boys are saying romantic stuff to the girls as they go to the infirmary after Jaime wakes up. And I got a screenshot of it. And it starts off with, I think it's the red one, Blaine. He goes up to Maria and he's here telling her, I'm going to go sing to you to the balcony and everything. And it's like, I'll tell you goodnight. And then his brother, what's his name? The blue one. Lance. He's like, well, then if you need me, I'll be gorging myself on waffles for the rest of the evening.
Which one's more like me?
Honestly, it's Lance. Every time I read something from him, I'm like, oh, that's Lorenzo. And I guess it doesn't help that they both have the L in their name, and Lorena kind of sounds like Lorenzo.
I thought I was romantic. Never mind.
You are romantic. What are you talking about? You're just romantic in your own way, like Lance. I mean, Lorena likes it. I don't remember if she blushed in that scene, but I know she was just bamboozled from it. She was like, wait a minute. Because she was here thinking, my heart's beating so fast. I wonder what he's going to tell me. Okay, so this one from episode 11, Sweet Dreams Gwen, is like right after the incident when Gwen is trying to make that meal for Jaime, you know, the waffle tier, and she overhears Frederick say that she's ugly. And of course, you remember that peep that rolls on the carpet?
Yes.
This is the episode when Jaime eats it, and he's like, why does it taste like carpet? 2 reasons why. Okay, with Jaime's magical skill, do you think that's a blessing or a curse?
Probably a curse.
A curse.
I said carpet tastes like sadness. Or when sadness tastes like carpet.
He had some other food variations he was confused about too, right?
Yeah, a couple. I don't remember all those.
Yeah, and it was like 3 main ones he used to get confused with. Like, those were pretty funny, I think, but I don't remember. But if I think about it, you know, if we think it's like a curse, because he could either taste people's emotions, and if I think about it too, he had a time where he didn't know how to handle that.
Well, we definitely see later on.
Yeah.
Near the end, how bad that affects him.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, that would be a curse. So I kind of think he could be like a cursed prince if he wanted to. Okay, I got one from episode 19. And yeah, we kind of already jumped a good few episodes from this. And this is when the girls are having a slumber party for Gwen because she has her initiation and whatnot. This happens when Saffron knocks the ping pong ball and it falls into Jolie's eye socket or skull. And then she tells him he has to get it out himself. I think I got a screenshot of it when it happened. And he's just like, see, I think he was saying something was biting him inside her eye socket. And there is an episode where she starts digging in there trying to figure out, like, man, it is kind of stuffy in here. Like, there's a bunch of stuff in there.
Yeah, it's one of the nastier ones.
Yeah. And here's something I wanted to ask you, too. When it comes to all of the princesses' curses, who do you think has the most inconvenient curse? And who do you think probably has, like, the roughest one? Because they all kind of have, like, a pretty tough variation. Because, you know, Prez turns into a giant spider.
It's rough for a little bit.
Yeah, on her period, yeah. And then we got Jolie with her lack of eyeballs, and somehow she can still see. I don't really know how that works.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought about it.
And then Syra, I think the one with the nose. I mean, it's just like Pinocchio, and it seems like she lives with it.
More annoying than anything.
Yeah. But the friend to the one, not the one with the acid mouth.
Renee?
Yeah, with the frogs. I feel like that one. Jeez, it seems so rough.
It seems like it would feel disgusting.
Mm-hmm. And I'm terrified of frogs.
Swans.
This one, it just adds something so much darker to it. It's just feel like I'm gonna go feed my swans, guys. No, but I feel like that one too. Like, how does she eat? Like, she just eat while the frogs are coming in, or
I don't know.
that, or Ivy? Maybe she she doesn't eat. She just
Smoothie. Smoothies.
Smoothies, okay. Maybe she eats her frogs.
Constant juice cleanse.
And become an IG Instagram model. Or what? No, those are teas, right? They do like a detox.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. A detox cleanse.
I mean, I don't know about them.
You don't know about them? and what's his name? Saffron. He has the hand that does stuff. And then there's the girl that turns into the crow. It does inappropriate things when he doesn't mean to. Oh boy, I don't think that would have been like the not nice gestures that you don't want to see. But I feel like they all got something inconvenient, and I would want them to not have their curses. But I feel like out of all of them, if they ever had a chance to get rid of a curse, I just don't know who would be more deserving of it, because they all kind of are deserving of it.
I gotta say, the one that feels the worst about hers is Abby.
Yeah. Okay, episode 23 is Frederick and Laverne, or Laverne. Is that how you say the llama's name? Laverne?
I've been saying Laverne.
Laverne. Okay, so Frederick and Laverne, it's on episode 23. And Frederick pushes Gwen. At least he thinks it's Gwen, but it's not.
He didn't push her.
He didn't.
Scared her a little.
With that face, he's like, did I just murder my fiance?
At least he felt bad about it.
Yeah. I mean, at that point, he wasn't on good... I mean, they didn't have a moment where he said it in front of her face. Because I would say they're technically on good terms.
Either way, they barely knew each other at that point.
Yeah, so I guess if he did murder her...
Say it so casually.
Gwen didn't get murdered, but he did almost murder somebody. At least she turned into a crow in the end, because I don't know what he would do. I don't know what his dad would do if he found out he murdered somebody.
He'd hide it.
He'd hide it?
I think so.
You think so? I thought he would probably murder Frederick himself.
He'd hide that too.
He'd be able to just, yeah. Just hide all of it. They'll be like, what son? I never had a third one. Okay, I have one more. It's from episode 25, Confrontation. Do you know which one I mean? Do you know what I'm going to hint at right now?
Yes.
Yes. One of my favorite confrontations out of the whole story. It's basically when Frederick misunderstands Gwen, when she decides to confront him about... Oh my god. I think out of all of the scenes out of the series, this was the one that made me literally laugh out loud, because I know you were passed out on the couch and I was sitting right next to you and I could not stop laughing. I was like, there's times where, something's funny and you do that little nose sound, like your nose just goes you just laugh like that. But then this one just made me I couldn't stop giggling because it was so funny. And I remember I took screenshots just so I can reread it, and when I was rereading it I kept laughing again. It was just that funny. It's like, hey Frederick, I know what you did to me. And she's straining to fight back tears. The poor thing. That's why she looks so scary.
She stood up for herself, though.
Yeah, she did stand up for herself. And then she said, it hurt, but I want you to know that I'm okay. And this was like right after he thought he pushed her off the cliff. And I'm like, oh my god.
Worst misunderstanding ever.
Oh, I know. And then he's like thinking, is she telling me she's immortal? And that face, right in that scene, was too good. I think that was what made me I couldn't keep it together. And then right at the end of it, I don't know if she is just really bad at communicating, or this is just his brain processing how she talks to him, because I noticed a lot of people do that when they don't know her that well. They kind of misinterpret what she says and they make her look scary.
Well, the next scene we're talking about, the same thing happens.
Yeah, it's like, let's be friends, Frederick. From now on, I'll be watching you from the shadows.
She's probably just bad with words.
And she really tried, and then she tries to walk away with a nice smile, and he's just like... I think that one's my favorite out of the entire series. And I would put this one at number 1 if we were doing a countdown or something, but we're not doing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so the next one I noticed that me and him both have practically the same episode we want to talk about. So I'm going to tell him to tell you guys what it was that he picked. So can you tell me?
The amusement park scenes. Mainly the clown house part where everything just went wrong.
These are from episodes 26 and 27. He's not wrong. The clown house scenes were the best parts of that entire arc. I mean, that entire amusement park arc, it just goes great in the very beginning. We got Jaime taking in Frederick into that love boat ride or whatever it was, and then you have the girls. I guess the guys are trying to spook the girls a little bit. And
yeah, they had this whole plan on what was going to happen, and that did not happen.
What was it? Maria, like, fear vomits?
Yeah. And Lorena was just knocking everyone out.
She's beating everybody up. And what was it? I think even Lance later found it kind of attractive. That
Yeah. Who wouldn't? And again, Gwen was misunderstood by the clown when she said, saying nobody will find his body or something like that.
Yeah, I got a screenshot of that one too. What was it? I think he's like, is this what we do to people? When he saw like his reaction to her, she's like, oh, okay, I can make sure no one finds your body for a long time. Like, Gwen! How do you keep doing this to yourself? Oh.
She's trying.
I know, she's trying so hard. But yeah, maybe communication skills is probably going to be something she's going to have to work on. But it's okay. There's all good intentions in there. At least I hope so. Okay, so what do we got next? You are pretty far after that one, so I might have to pull out one that I have like in episode 30 or something. Okay, so I have episode 31, Abby's Wish Part 1, and kind of Part 2 as well. Both those episodes, I think Abby is an all-star in comedy-wise in those episodes because she made me laugh so much.
She's a teenager. She's got attitude.
I love that she, even though, we know she's a teenager, but I feel like she's like the most modern teenager out of all of them because she talks like a Zoomer. She says bruh, and like, I'm gonna get lit.
I'm pretty sure she's the youngest one.
Yeah, because she wanted to go to prom, right? And that one, okay, so she's pretty young. Not even graduated yet. And every time she talks, though, she just talks like a Zoomer, as they say. And she's always saying, like, the modern slang of nowadays. Because most of the characters don't really say anything like that. But she's always saying bruh. And she's always saying some sort of slang. And so she makes me laugh. And I think one of the scenes from those episodes, other than her saying grandma's gonna get lit, is when she is talking to Gwen and saying how she wants to get rid of her curse, right? Just for that one night. Because she says here, oh, come on, Gwen. It's not like I want to get drunk or anything. I'm just going to use the alcohol to get a boy from school to make out with me. And that woman's face. Yeah. When oh my God. She looked at her with such disgust, and it was amazing.
It's understandable.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think I recorded what else she did after that, because it was just...
Yeah.
And then, right after that one, it's episode 34 with Prince Frederick, and it's about his backstory. This is part 2 of it. And it's right after he has... Like, we get to see everything about him. From why he got bullied, why he stopped being the way he used to be. And then he gets a gift from Gwen, because, she gets a gift for him.
Yeah.
At the end of, like, Abby's Wish. And she wanted to get him a little sailboat in a bottle. Well, there was a mix-up. And he ends up getting the newt eyeballs. And I thought that was so funny, because he's here like, oh my gosh, she's got me a book that I love. That's amazing. And it opens the newt eyeballs in horror.
The fear, again, of Gwen.
And at that wasn't her fault. That was just the universe just playing tricks on her again. Not letting her be nice on occasion. Oh, goodness gracious. And I think right after that, too, didn't, like, Abby, like, choke up the little boat?
Yeah.
And it's funny about those newt eyeballs, because then it's just a running gag throughout the series where he's here like, I'm going to go find Gwen, and grabs a newt eyeball.
It's his lucky charm in the end anyway.
I know. And then when he shows her, it's like, I can do anything because of this. It's just like, why are you holding that?
Yeah, it's the first time she got creeped out by him.
Yeah. And the tables have, or what is it, the turn have tables. You don't get it? Just embarrassed. And but then she does try to give him the little boat back, and he's like, no, I think I'm gonna keep the new eyeballs in the end of I think closer to the end of the series. He's like, but I think that's really cute out of him, because we know he starts liking Gwen a bit more towards the end of the series,
and he already grew attached to the newt eyeballs.
If I gave you some newt eyeballs, would you be attached to them the way Frederick is?
No, I just slip them into your food every once in a while.
You're nasty.
You ate them.
I didn't. You didn't do nothing like that. Oh gosh, you know how like they have to go and buy these like potions and stuff, and they got these. Oh gosh, and Newt's a real animal, right? Like that's a real Ew. Okay, so Lorenzo has one right after that one I just said. Okay, you can go ahead.
When everybody turns against Aurelia, if I'm saying that right, after she tried to get Gwen kicked out.
You like that scene?
Yeah. I mean, like, Gwen was so nice to everyone that even though she wasn't cursed, they wanted her in the club anyways, even though after Aurelia got her breaking the rules.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Aurelia, she definitely was showing a lot of nasty traits that a lot of the cursed princesses don't show, even when they're cursed.
Yeah. That's like how other people would be treating them.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that was a little rotten out of her. And she does develop later on. She does kind of redeem herself later on in the series.
Yeah. Turns into a real boss in the end.
Yeah. And I love that the author can do that, because she's really good at getting these characters to kind of redeem themselves. I think it's the same thing with like Prince Whitney later on. Because
Frederick.
Yeah. I mean, in the beginning, I wanted to punch Frederick in the face, and then same thing with Aurelia. I'm like, I want to punch Aurelia in the face, and then
everyone did.
Yeah, and I mean, Gwen, she's a saint, because what she does later on too.
She was the one mainly reaching out to
her.
Yeah.
And she's here like, I'm gonna write her a letter and everything, and I'm just like, Gwen, you're an angel. I mean, Aurelia got you wrong, and I mean, she realizes it later too.
Yeah.
And what was it? They kept making fun of her because they kept assuming she was making out with the logs. And she's like, I don't make out with the logs. And I mean, my first assumption too was, yeah, she probably like licked that thing pretty good in order for it to melt.
It's just so wrong.
Yeah, and that's it's like later on, like it's just with a bobby pin. I didn't think that would work, but I mean, somehow it does, because I just
guess it's the saliva, not really the inside of her mouth.
Yeah, but I mean, can she taste anything?
Probably not.
I wouldn't think so, because she just melts everything.
She breaks down the nutrients quick, though.
Yeah. Her dad, or was it her stepdad, whoever it was that gave her that necklace to have the curse that she has now. Yeah. Man, I don't
think it was what they expected.
No. Okay, so I have one from episode 65, and it's like one of my favorite running gags in the series, and it's with Frederick and Laverne. And this episode 65, What He Wants, has him wanting to go find Gwen so he can go tell her how he feels, ask her to that gala or whatever it was, which ultimately fails in the end too. But I love this gag of the llama cart, and I kept asking Lorenzo, is it the llama cart or something? Because it's an IKEA product, and I assumed it had an accent to it.
Yeah, it's pronounced llama.
His llama. But I just love that they just bring in an IKEA box and he has to just construct it by himself. And I mean, I love IKEA furniture.
It definitely wasn't the furniture, not furniture, the cart I expected.
Yeah. He just made a chariot. That's what he made.
That he pulled.
What was it? I think in episode 74, it comes back, the gag of like, I think it's episode 74, the winner, and he wakes up in their little carriage and they're taking him home and he's like, wait, what about the llama cart? And they even write it the same way in the box and everything, and then he's like, oh no, it's okay, Lance wanted to give it a try, he thought it looked cool. You see him pulling it up with Laverne and she's just here chilling in the cart.
Frederick was saying that was even harder than carrying her.
Yeah. And I noticed he started growing some muscle because you'll mention it soon, and I think
checking him out.
No, because with what you're gonna mention, when who he meets later, he got scared and he was gonna go and just leave and bounce right then. And he just lifted Laverne. He's like, "Okay, we're gonna go, guys." Like it was effortless. So I mean,
maybe it was adrenaline.
Yeah, like maybe he's probably getting a workout. He'll be able to go toe to toe with Lance and Blaine at some point. No, you don't think so? No. Okay, and with that, Lorenzo has another one that he wants to mention. I think it's during that time.
Yes, when Frederick was lost and he met Prince Whitney, which we had heard of before. It was definitely different than who we expected to meet if we did meet him again.
Yeah, he was quite different for sure.
And honestly, we thought he was dead, so...
Yeah.
Big surprise.
And, I mean, good for Prez, because, I mean, she didn't kill anybody. And that did help her kind of deal with her curse a little bit better. But how do you feel about Prince Whitney after this whole season of getting introduced to him?
Well, it seemed like he's changed for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Still, he's trying to make up for what he did in the past, so it's still a little rough on him.
Yeah, and what was it? He went to like a nurse's monastery or something. He put an oath for celibacy, and
he did yoga.
He's
definitely changed.
And what was it? Like his curse is just the tiger stripes and nothing else. He doesn't.
Some senses.
Yeah, some senses. I like that scene when he tells them to go to sleep. And he'll watch out, and he's just here, like, ready to pounce on anyone that's going to attack the tent. I thought that was sweet. And I think, like, you know, his first introduction, you, of course, think, man, this guy is awful. I don't want to be anywhere near this man. And then when you get to know him, he's gotten better. He's not as awful no more.
Still intimidating.
Still intimidating, of course, yes.
Scares animals.
Yeah. Laverne warmed up to him.
Yeah. A little more than warmed up to him.
Yeah. But I mean, I think Laverne just falls in love easily. And well, I don't remember. There's got to be at least one person Laverne doesn't like strictly doesn't like. I don't know, because I mean, every person that she doesn't like or has like a love-hate relationship with, she starts to, you know, really get attached.
I feel like she hates poor people.
She hates poor people. I mean, she is quite posh, as they call them.
Snobby.
Snobby, yes. Very pampered. Okay, so I don't have much anymore that I wrote down, but Lorenzo has, like, I think 2 more, and then we'll move on to the theories and other questions I had.
I can't even read his name.
Dandruff?
Oh, Lieutenant Dandruff taking Gwen to the town.
Well, okay, I'm trying to remember how that went, because I know it wasn't very smooth, you know?
Yeah, he was yelling at everyone. Stay away from her.
And right, he can't look at her, right? At first. Yeah. He
couldn't talk to her.
No. He got her confused with Maria. And he's like, no, Maria could sing and all this, right? She was blonde. And he looks at Maria. She's just, you know, not herself. Because she's here crying.
She's been crying.
Mm-hmm. Okay, because Dandruff, doesn't he get mad at the little Blaine doll? And then Blaine ends up showing up. He's like... And then he gives him an autograph.
Oh,
all of it. He's like, don't worry, I get it. You're a fan. You have one more, right? You have...
A very iconic moment when Prez meets her idol for the first time.
Oh my gosh. That whole ordeal, like, towards the end of the series. I mean, the season, not the series.
Yeah, they're all down in the castle,
Mm-hmm.
looking at portraits of Gwen's mom. Find a portrait.
Yeah.
Not her mom. Her dad.
Her dad.
Also the person who inspired Prez so much, her fashion, the way she acts, everything. Turns out it was all a lie.
Oh.
It wasn't a woman.
It was...
The situation she based it on was not what happened at all.
No, but I mean, it was Jackie, right? She says, it was a cool, sexy name. And they're like, Jackie? They're like, that's the most basic name out there, Chris.
That's true.
It is. And what was it? I mean, when I saw his face, I was like, man, Prince Jaime gets his looks from him, for sure.
Yeah.
The glistening rainbow hair, the pastel, and they really represent their country, for sure, or their kingdom.
They all do, all the kingdoms.
Yeah, it's really cool, though. I like that all the kingdoms have, like, a different pattern to them. It's like everyone went to Joann Fabrics, and they decided that was their pattern for the kingdom.
The Argyle's the worst.
Mm-hmm.
Worst looking.
Oh my gosh, I think out of all of them, yeah, that was bad. I was like, come on, guys, you could have thought of any other pattern, but no, you went with that one. You could have gone for Rubik's Cube or something, but no.
Polka dots.
Polka dots, tessellations, something. And I mean, Prez is from, like, the Polygon Kingdom, right? I think that's, like, the only one that isn't, like, a type of material.
Yeah.
And I feel like for poor Prez, because, what was it? Jackie, what happens is, like, he doesn't knock those people down when they're fighting, right? It was more like
something about slipping in wine or something.
And then he was so sparkly, they got blinded by it.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know what, that makes sense. And I really got, I think, that tension during that time before, the king found them in there. And when they found the pictures, I was nervous because I was like, what's going to happen as I was reading the series? And then once it happened, I was like, oh, it wasn't as bad as I thought.
No.
And I noticed, too, the author does a really good job at raising tension and just killing it, like, instantly. Because it's the same thing with the girl that sees the visions. Do you remember her name? She's the one with the red eyes. Yeah, Nell. And we thought someone was going to die the whole time. Like, we were panicking. It was like, someone's going to die. And then...
Someone was going to die.
Yeah. And it was okay. Because wasn't it Prez? She didn't end up killing Whitney. And so it changed everything. But it freaked me out still. Because that whole chapter when she's here, like, shaking, saying someone's going to die right now. And then you see that flash of lightning. I mean, I was terrified.
Yeah. Because Renee is one of the sweeter characters.
Mm-hmm.
Going through a lot at the time, so it would have been rough.
I know. And it was nice to see that, Whitney came by and was able to save the day. And it was nice, but I remember it was like, oh my gosh, it was terrifying. And then it ends with that really nice touching moment. And it's the same thing kind of what happened here. But in the end of it, we still got a lot of questions. And we plan to move on to that in a little bit. That of some thoughts and opinions of what you think is going to come next in the final season. So we are going to move on to that right about now. So we are here for the theories. Yay! Okay, so how did you feel about how it ended so far with season 3? How did you feel? Because it ended right in that scene where she, kind of just wants to be with Frederick, and she just kind of forgets about when he called her ugly and just wants to go for it with his confession, right? He confessed to her around then.
Yeah.
And she just sees all of those little diamonds, and it's just a bunch of her face cracked. Because I feel like every season pretty much ends with her seeing something, like a cracked image of her. And I feel like a lot of people have theories as to why she sees those images of herself. And like Prez says too, it's probably like something about her self-image. But at that moment, there were so many of them, and they got worse. Like, the cracked images were even more severe than what they were in the past times that she's seen it. And why do you suppose she is seeing these cracks anyways? Like, do you think it's because of her self-image, or is it because it's something else? Because it's right after she just wants to ignore something that's happened to her, that's hurt her.
Well, you keep feeling like she's improving, but it keeps coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Even after Frederick's telling her all these things, she's still got issues with her self-image.
Mm-hmm.
And then just the episode, like right before, they steal that diary of her mother's.
Mm-hmm.
And you see she had all the same issues. It leaves you worrying about Gwen in the end.
Yeah. And I feel like with that journal, of course, we get those images of like, oh gosh, she hated herself. She did not love herself. And
it's definitely not something you want Gwen to read.
No, of course not. And I mean, a lot of people said too, and I think maybe Gwen's mom in the beginning, maybe that journal has been something she's had for a long time. At least I'm hoping this is the case. And in the beginning, she didn't love herself, right? She probably did think she was ugly. And then maybe as she met Jackie, she might have started loving herself. And, who has the diary right now? It's Aurelia. And I get the feeling she's going to end up reading it. Someone's going to end up reading that. And there might be something in there that's going to really change the course of what Gwen could do. Maybe. I don't know.
Well, it never really explains either what happened to Gwen's mom.
I know. And I don't think it's anything like self-harm of any sort. I feel like she really did probably just pass away from something. But I'm worried too, because like there's so many theories of like what happened to her. She looks like she's on her deathbed when you see those images of her with Jackie. He's holding her hand, and she's telling him her wishes, right? And we'll get to those wishes in a little bit. But I'm worried too, because all of a sudden these cracked images just showed up right when she felt bad about herself.
Yeah.
And then later on, she's not communicating properly about how she feels. And I don't know if it's like, does that happen to her mom? And that's what led to her not surviving for very long. Remember, she wanted to hide all her kids' beauty. Why is that? Why does she want to hide all of her kids' beauty? Not specifically just Gwen's. Or do the other girls have that issue too? But then they're pretty.
Yeah, Jaime definitely doesn't have that.
No. And I tried to confirm if him and Gwen are twins. And it's not really confirmed. Like, no, it hasn't been stated explicitly.
I told you.
Yeah, but at the same time, you have images of them as babies, and they're together. And I don't really think, like, how close can you have babies together for them to still be, like, swaddled in the same photo, I don't know. Because, babe, we've had kids, like, I don't think we can have them that close where both of them are still able to be swaddled in, like, infancy. And so I think they are twins. Because for one thing, I feel like maybe that's, like, they're like the spitting image of their parents in, like, a little bundle.
Yeah.
Because she looks exactly like her mom. And then Jaime is like a spitting image of his dad when he was a youngster. And so, how we thought maybe Prince Jaime was cursed with something. Cursed with this incredible skill of tasting everyone's emotions in their cooking. And then Gwen is powerful at cooking. She's a great chef, and she touches people's emotions with her cooking.
A great pair.
Mm-hmm. I know, it's cute. They can make a really great restaurant if they wanted to. Incredible food critic.
And not just that, they're good at telling each other's feelings.
Yeah, and I mean, they really can't hide it from each other with the way their skills, correlate. And what is it? They go to each other too, like you said. They go to each other. So I feel like that's just like a twin power. Like they just have like this, like, I know how you're feeling, so you could just come to me.
Yeah.
When I'm like thinking, why did they have these like such specific skills? Was it from their mom or because all the other girls too, they have skills. Like one sings and animals just show up around her like a fairy tale princess, and then Lorena, she's got flowers showing up on her backside and everything.
She's great at beating people up.
Yeah, she is. She's a great. What do they call them? A war chief or something. A real lady. I speculate so much of what could be going on with Gwen. Are all the kids cursed? Or do they all have something to them? Why did her mom not want anybody seeing their kids? Because that's the only reason why King Jackie doesn't want them getting near anybody. And why he doesn't want to expose them to the world. Because then I think too, is that what happened to the mom? Like she ended up getting exposed to the world because it didn't seem like she's from there.
Yeah.
Like King Jackie found her.
She was pretty much on her own on some island.
Yeah, because like he's a big like an anti-pirate. Yeah. He goes around and he says like the only time I actually stole something for myself and it points to Gwen's mom, and like did he steal her?
But okay.
And technically, I guess he did steal. Maybe she is a hidden gem in that island. Maybe she was just considered beautiful. Same thing that happened to Gwen. She's grown up to always believe she was beautiful. And then when she went to this world whose perception of beauty is different, it like affected her in a bad way. And maybe that's what's happening to Gwen.
Because her father definitely finds her beautiful.
Yeah.
She seems to be his favorite.
Yeah. And
she looks like her mother, so it makes sense.
Yeah, I think after I saw that picture, I was like, oh, is that why?
Yeah, that's kind of sad.
It's sad and sweet because, that's his baby. And that's like, she just reminds him of his wife and the love of his life, really. And that's so sad because I noticed too, when Frederick nudged his little head on her shoulder and, everyone's thinking she's got game, he fell asleep because of her cooking. He snapped the most when he saw Gwen potentially having a suitor. And
let's also the youngest daughter, too.
Yeah.
That's not helping.
Yeah, that didn't help. And after all these, I was like, it really clues in why he's like that. And I feel bad for King Jackie, too, because he's got a lot of weight on him, and he's holding his kids back because of it. Like, in the way their mom is holding them back, even in her past life. Okay, so I remember something else, too. You know how, like, they said that she passed away? And Gwen said that she passed away when she was really young, and so she doesn't remember much about her mom. But Maria and Lorena, they're not too far. Like, they're a little bit older than them. Because Gwen is how old? Gwen and Jaime are 16?
I think
15? Okay, so they're around there. But then Maria, she's 18. And then Lorena is around in between that. They gotta remember their mom, right? Maybe.
It's still really young.
Yeah. But they gotta at least remember what she looks like, I would assume.
Yeah, probably.
I would feel like they would. And I don't know, like, maybe when Gwen goes up to them, has she ever decided to ask them what their mom was like and stuff? Or has it just never crossed her mind because, King Jackie always cries of the thought of her. And so they just don't bring her up in general.
Well, it's not like they don't have time alone when he goes off.
I know.
It's just not something they ask him about.
Yeah. So my assumption's just like, do they not like know their mom in general, or were they really that young and they just couldn't remember? Because I would feel like
either way, it wouldn't be very much memories at that age.
Yeah. Because I kept thinking, do they at least remember their mom maybe looking like Gwen a little bit, and so that all they see is their mother and Gwen and stuff. Do you think Gwen's mom was a good chef too? Like Gwen?
No clue.
I'm just asking if you think, not so much if you don't for sure. I don't know. She has a lot of traits from her mom. She looks just like her. I would assume maybe she
I don't think so.
No.
She was from some island. It's probably way different. So.
I saw some theories on Instagram the other day, and some people were like suspecting maybe like her mom was like a type of mermaid kind of thing, because she's kind of got like the sea-like features, you know. She's got I don't know about the fangs so much, but like the seaweed hair, very sea-like. And I mean, those pictures of Gwen's mom, I mean, she kind of looked like she could have been like maybe a sea creature of a sort, you know. So they thought maybe she was like, and she lived on an island, so maybe she's like a mermaid or a siren or something, and maybe that's why.
A manatee with seaweed on top.
A manatee. Watching too much How I Met Your Mother. You know the scene whenever King Jackie finds the picture of Gwen's mom, and he's crying intensely as he looks at the photo, and okay, he's telling her, I can't find it. I'm sorry, I can't find it. What do you think he's looking for?
The diary.
The diary?
Yeah, because it seemed like it fell out of the picture frame.
Really? Oh, I didn't think about that. Okay, because I was like thinking, it can't be the diary. Well, mostly because I just assumed it was in the room, so he already knew it was there.
Yeah.
But I didn't realize you meant that it came out of the picture frame. I didn't see that. I had to look at it again. Because I thought maybe it was like an heirloom or something that she owned, or maybe it was something from maybe he can't find the island. Because I know some people said that. They're like, maybe he can't find the island that she found him. No.
No, I'm pretty sure that picture frame had the book hidden in it.
Mm-hmm.
Probably got it again too. But...
Why do you suppose that would be like the biggest thing he couldn't find out of her? Like, do you think it was something that she wanted her daughter to read?
Maybe it's something else she wanted hidden.
Maybe. Because she wanted all her pictures hidden away. Like, she didn't want any of the kids seeing it. Like, okay, if my hopes of is that maybe she grew to love herself, I don't see why she would like hide her pictures. And maybe sadly she never did love herself in the end. That would be really sad.
Well, if it's like with Gwen, it keeps coming back to her no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Well, I would be really sad too with like what happened to her mom is what's happening to Gwen right now. But Gwen's mom was like a severe case, and it ended up she just couldn't keep living with this like constant trace of cracks. I don't know how to describe it, but it just kept following her. But that would be really scary too. But I'm not sure. I just know he was like crying intensely because he couldn't find it. And my guess is that was like one of her last wishes.
Yeah, but it never explains what exactly the wish was.
Maybe she wrote in the diary kind of like a message as to why she chose to give him those wishes in the first place. You know, because, like, she tells him those wishes, but she doesn't really clarify why. But maybe in the diary it explains why. Maybe. I mean, we're just speculating.
That's what theories are.
That's what theories are. You're right. Okay, to lighten up the theories, I just had some points I wanted to ask you. So who is your favorite ship? Like, what is your favorite relationship? Like, your ship?
I forgot her name.
Which one?
The Fencer.
I just know they called her Incester, remember?
Her last name's Winchester. I can't remember.
Winchester. Yeah, I don't remember.
Her and Lorena.
Her and Lorena. Okay, yeah, I can get that ship, you know, with their whole sex dungeon and whatnot.
Oh, I just meant as friends, but okay.
Oh, as friends? Okay. I know some people really ship them, like as a, you know, kind of like with Buddy.
Well, Lance is pretty boring.
Lance is pretty boring. Lance, I like Lance. I do. And I feel like him and Lorena can really get along, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, he does. I feel like I wish we could get to know him a bit more other than him liking food and liking women fight now.
So that's why he reminds you of me. He's boring.
You're not boring. Oh my gosh. I like Lance. I think Lance makes me laugh the most out of all the brothers. Because Frederick makes me laugh in a different way.
Laugh at him, not with him.
That's true. I laugh at him. I think Lance is really funny because most of his interactions with women, he's always eating something. Like, my goodness. At least he works out and stuff, because he does not eat very healthy.
It's not like Jaime, though.
No. You're right. How does Jaime stay in shape? Because he eats so much, considering he's a food critic?
By overworking his metabolism.
Okay, I get that. Or maybe he'll be like his dad, where at some point he kind of just, I guess he lets go. Because he...
Yeah.
One of my favorite relationships out of the series is probably, of course, Gwen and Freddie. Out of the other princesses, I mean, okay, for Maria and Blaine, I don't know. What do you think of those two?
They're crazy.
They're crazy. Some people think that their relationship's a little too shallow.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah.
They're trying, but it's pretty shallow.
Who do you think is more the shallow one out of the relationship?
Ooh, definitely Maria.
Maria?
Definitely. She's the one with the merch.
That's true. And she is the thirsty one.
And just obsessed with approval from his mom, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. And I mean, the thing is, I could kind of get why the Plaid Queen is like that. You know, she probably got arranged to marry her husband now, and he's kind of a mess.
Rude.
What?
You're right. I like to change my relationship. It'd be the two kings.
The two kings. Well, their relationship's not shallow, and it wasn't like... I mean, you saw, like, their first interaction when
Fell into his arms.
He did. So romantic.
It was.
You wonder why that maybe, like, when they first met, he probably thought he was a chick, right? And he was, like, thinking, oh, she pretty. And then when he found out he's a guy, like, he probably... Yeah. He probably still has, like, an attachment to that. Because, you know, when we first see them hang out in the beginning of the series, he's swinging him in the air, and they're like, oh my gosh, it's you. They acted like they were in love. And
They are.
Mm-hmm, they are. And, oh my gosh, but they're funny together. I think they're so funny. And, you know, like, it seems like we're getting some tension with the two of them now too, if you think about it, because he calls him a hypocrite. The Plaid King, he calls... Mm-hmm.
He's tired of the marriages being put off, I think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he keeps like, okay, we're just gonna never happen. And he's like, well, we agreed to this. And what was it? The Plaid Queen is like sneaking in, listening to him, you know, watch the picture and whatnot, just munching on cookies. I like that scene where she just yoinked the cookies into her bag. It was really cool to see her light up a little bit when she ate that pie from Gwen. Or was it like an apple cobbler? And to see that she just loved Jaime's reviews of people's food.
Yeah, it was a different side of her for sure.
Yeah. So it just seems so cold, but I think, you know, she's a real softie for certain things, of course. And I feel like she could probably really like Maria, you know, and all the other girls, but... I guess it would be helpful if all the kids just had some time to get to know the brothers more. Because, you know, like, Maria is quite shallow. She really only cares about Blaine's looks most of the time. And Blaine tries really hard for her, you know. He tries to get to know her interests a bit more. I think it was really sweet that one time when they were all crying in their house. And they come by to see what's wrong. And it's right after, like, you know... King Jackie is telling them that, you know, their dreams are never going to happen because he wants to keep them locked up in the kingdom. And, you know, she's just like, he won't let me sing at that recital in front of my people and whatnot. And he offers to play music for her so she could sing and practice for it. I thought that was sweet. And those little things are nice gestures for her. And the most I see her do is, like, oogle at his butt. And then Lorena and Lance, they get along really well.
Great friends.
Great friends. The true ship. It's her and Ancestor.
It's not family, though.
No. Her crush on Lance was really weird.
Yeah, the whole reason why.
I was just like, girl, I don't think that's really like a... It's just kind of an odd way to like a person, but I mean, okay. I like Fred and Gwen. Because I know in the beginning we were like, oh, we're going to beat him up. And in the end, I mean, he's really worked hard to make amends to her. And he's grown to like her. I think that's cute.
To know how nice she is, how sweet she is on the inside.
And I think that's really sweet that they just, just got to know each other normally.
Even after being terrified of her in the beginning.
Yes. I wonder if for like Prince Frederick, Fredo, of course he's scared of her for the whole time, but it never happens to like Blaine and Lance. And it seems like that's like a normal thing for a lot of people to do when they first meet her. It's like to freak out when she does her like misunderstandings and stuff. But it never happens with them. And I wonder why. You know what I mean? Because it happened with Frederick, of course. And then on other occasions it's happened before. I think even with the witch, she got her perception of her being a witch. And so I'm like, I wonder why it's only like specific people that see that side of her. Because everyone else seems to see her like as normal. And so, I don't know. Maybe it's just the eye of the beholder. They don't really... Because they don't even say that she's ugly. Like the other princes. So I don't know. Or maybe they just don't vocalize it.
No clue.
You don't know? I don't know. Okay. So, who is, like, your favorite character out of the show? We got our favorite relationship. I will say that I love Gwen, Jaime, and I would even say Laverne. Just because she's just full-on comedy. And, Abby. Abby makes me laugh a lot. From the princesses.
I'd probably say
Prez. Why do you suppose Prez? Is it just because she's cool?
Yes. She's cool and her whole reason for why she did everything.
Oh, I like her butler too.
Going against adversity.
Yeah,
her butler's cool.
Her butler's cool.
I forgot his name.
It starts with a C, I think.
Probably not.
I don't know. He reminds me a lot of like the butler trope. You never seen Black Butler before, right?
No.
It's an anime. He reminds me a lot of him because he's like a magical butler that can do anything, really. That was like his catchphrase, essentially.
Like Alfred.
Yeah, like Alfred. Like the butler trope. You could just do anything. And he reminds me a lot of that. Prince Whitney. I like Prince Whitney now, too. I think he's funny. And he reminds me a lot of Zuko. I told you that before. That I think it's the scars, and he kind of redeems himself because he used to do bad things in the past. Not nearly as bad as Whitney, because Whitney sounds like he's done some...
It was all for the same reasons, too, against trying to prove himself against his siblings and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's even kind of got the hairstyle a little bit, too. The long locks. Kind of like when Zuko... He didn't have a ponytail like him, but...
Luckily.
As he's from, like, the monochrome kingdom, right? So he's not really used to color. And I thought it was funny when he had to wear that uniform at the the dinner. And he's just like, yeah, this is what I wear all the time. Okay, so since season 4 is going to come up at some point, we are patiently waiting for the release. And I noticed when we were reading when I was binge reading this, the seasons just showed up real quick. I think season 2 happened like a week after season 1 ended. But I'm hoping that, the author will take a good break before season 4 kicks in. And I was going to say, what is it that you're looking forward to for season 4? Like, what is it that you want to know? What do you want to see happen next? Kind of stuff.
Gwen love herself, of course.
Aww. You got anything else? Because, of course, I think that's what everyone wants to see is Gwen loving herself. And I would like to see more about her mom. And hopefully good things about her mom.
Yeah, hopefully it didn't end badly for her, I guess.
Yeah. And I would like to see the girls actually be allowed to go out of the kingdom, and be free.
And see if these weddings actually happen.
Yeah. What was it? They got one more event, right? It's that thing that Blaine is holding. And so I'm excited to see what's going to happen there. Because it's supposed to be happening in the Polygon Kingdom, where Prez is from. Ooh, she might meet her old nurse friend. That would be really cool.
Maybe. I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I think that'd be even worse than her seeing Prince Whitney again.
Oh.
Just the feelings of it all.
Mm-hmm. It would really hurt, too. Because, I mean, she was going to, be with him, I think, in a way. She admired him, for sure. Oh, gosh. I would really like to know what the heck is happening with Gwen and see if she'll, why is that happening? Someone's got to explain it, Because, Prez came up with, her own theory in a way, but not so much, the actual explanation. It would be nice to see Gwen talk about what she's seeing to her siblings and her dad, maybe. I would like for her to be able to open up to her own family about this.
At least to Jaime.
Yeah, at least to Jaime. Because, I mean, that's a hard thing for her to be going through by herself, Oh, I would like for the cursed princesses to actually, reveal themselves to everybody in a normal way. Because, they kind of had to hide themselves to be the CPC for her dinner. But it'd be cool for them to just show up in all their glory as the cursed princesses. Would you want the girls to have their curses alleviated? Or do you think it's okay for them to own up to it how that is? Because I know the point of the club is to kind of own it. And, it's no biggie. We don't need to get rid of our curses. But would you like to see them not have them anymore?
I'd say it's up to them, honestly.
Me?
I'd like to see if they all could accept it at least and be okay with it.
Mm-hmm.
If they choose to get rid of it.
Yeah.
Definitely understand still.
I know for some of them, like the lobster girl, I feel like she should be allowed to go back to her original form.
Yeah, she was just snatched out of her entire life.
Yeah, and turned into a human. Not lobster no more. Probably all her family's down there.
Being human's awful.
Mm-hmm. Well, at least for the girl with no eyeballs to get some eyeballs. But I mean, I know she probably got a fashionable thing to it. She can change her eye mask into any eye color she wants.
Yeah, but she said the flowers were bothering her allergies.
Yeah.
So it'd be a lot of eye drops.
Yeah. It's going nowhere.
You gotta fill the whole thing, probably.
Maybe she should just go for an eye mask that cools her face down. That might help with her allergies. I know that helps you. What about Nell? I feel like Nell should be allowed to...
Yeah, hers affects her really badly.
Yeah, hers looks like it hurts. She just looks like she's writhing in pain, the poor thing. Abby, I would like for Abby to be able to,
live her life.
Yeah. I mean, she is very much a teen. Maybe she'll meet a boy who has the same issue as her,
There's an older woman.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yep, there we go. So I love me some older women.
Does she just keep on aging, though?
I don't know. I mean, it looked like she's just stagnant in this old face. Is her entire body old? Or is it just her face? I can't remember.
She's got wrinkly arms, I think, and hands.
Yeah, okay. Because, I mean, she moves like a young person.
Yeah, I was wondering that, too. Her joints would affect her, just her looks.
Yeah, and she doesn't need to walk with a cane or anything. So it seems like maybe it's just the look kind of thing, like inconvenience to it.
Would take so much advantage of that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Look what she did about getting her alcohol. And get some boy drunk.
Be in great shape and look 80.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So, I mean, I would like for some of them to at least not have their curses. At least to be able to, be able to live a normal life. Because, I mean, they're making do. Most of them are. And I feel like some of them, it's just kind of an inconvenience. But not so much making their life completely unlivable, Renee for sure. I feel like Renee should be allowed to not have to have spit frogs out of her mouth. And then her swans might miss her. Her swans would be like, oh, you don't feed us no more. That would be really sad.
Oh, and would you prefer for Saffron to grow a beard or lose his curse?
I don't know. I don't know if I'd like him with a beard. I feel like he'd look like a war criminal. He looks like he could, like, with that arm, he could do some intense things.
And he look more intense with a beard.
I know, it's true. I feel like his arm is like a friend of his in a way. Because even though he's mean to him, he still does things for him out of kindness sometimes.
High fives.
Yeah, high fives. For Prince Whitney, I think he wouldn't want to get rid of his curse. I feel like he would be keeping it for sure.
Yeah, after the lesson it taught him.
Mm-hmm. He wouldn't want to go back. It's what he is now. I think it's like, it's molded him. All right. So I think we're going to be wrapping it up soon, but do you have any questions that you would like to ask?
Are we done yet?
I just said we might be done soon. I was just wondering if you had some theories or thoughts that you wanted to share before we end off here. No. Well, you heard it here. So I wanted to tell you thank you for being a part of the podcast. You made it a little bit easier on me because usually I have to write a whole script, and I didn't really have to do that for this week, so it was less stress on me.
Yeah, I had to carry the whole show.
You had to carry the whole show. Well, I am very thankful that you were on here. So, do you want to say anything to the listeners?
Hi.
Well, it was good to have you on here. Thank you. Hopefully yes, he's shaking my hand right now. And thank you. Yes, it was really good to have you. Do you think you'd ever come back on?
Depends on how much you pay me next time.
Okay, I'll have to pay you. You heard it here. We'll start a GoFundMe to have you back on. Okay, if I were to have you on another one, would you want to do a Jujutsu Kaisen episode? Just going nuts? Maybe. Okay. Because, I mean, this is like the only webtoon you read. Or that you have read. And, I mean, I'm going to try to get him into other ones, but, it took him a good bit to finish Cursed Princess. And I think when he saw me finish it, he was just like, how did you even do that?
Get a life.
Oh, yes. All I do is read webtoons. Take care of our kids. And sometimes the kids, our kids like look at the webtoons I'm reading. And sometimes our daughter will end up swiping the pages and then I won't remember where I'm at. So I definitely have to be careful on what I'm reading around her. I don't read anything like, you can't find anything that X-rated on Webtoons, but I mean, I don't, have you?
No.
I don't know. Well, I would like to have you on another time. I don't know for what yet. Who knows? I know we just finished Jujutsu Kaisen. My brother just finished it, and we were talking about it like crazy the other day. And it'd just be fun to have someone on here to talk about that. Because I know I need an anime episode soon. Because I haven't had a good anime one yet. I know I want to talk about Fruits Basket. It's almost over. And I'm going to cry when it's over. Because that show's so good. So, thank you, baby. Thank you for being on the podcast. You were a great guest. Okay, so let me know your thoughts and opinions of what we discussed today in this episode by messaging me through either of my social media handles. Both my Twitter and Instagram handles are at thetoonballoon. I would love to hear from you. Also, definitely tell me any other webtoons, anime, or manga that you're interested in. I may talk about them in future episodes. The Toon Balloon podcast can be listened to on SoundCloud, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and YouTube. Now, let's end this episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today and taking the time to listen to my humble podcast. I look forward to talking with you again. This is the Toon Balloon podcast. I was your host, Gooby. See you next time.